episode of Gangsta, a massive gang war is about to erupt amongst the big mafia families in the city of Ergastelum, and Nicholas, Warwick, and Alex are all caught right in the middle. This week's episode was heavy as shit. It was also a really good episode with some amazing writing and some great atmosphere. Every single episode of Gangsta just seems to get better, and I really love this series, not just for the cool action and premise, but the characters themselves are really engaging, and I want to spend more time with them, and the more they reveal this whole backstory about Warwick and Nicholas, the more I begin to believe that Nicholas is the one who actually killed the entire Arcangelo family. There's a major detail in this week's episode about where Nicholas actually came from. We get to learn that he's actually the son of one of the guards of the Arcangelo family, one of the guys who actually watches the gates and goes to war against the anti-Twilight people. Now, what's really interesting about Nicholas's father is that he's not really a father at all. He doesn't give a shit about his son at all. He doesn't even see him as a human. Apparently, Nicholas's mother was a prostitute, and that's pretty much just the end of that. We're probably never going to see what actually happened to his mother. So, safe to say, Nicholas doesn't really have like a mother-father relationship whatsoever. He's literally just seen as a tool to his father, which is frankly just disturbing. Warwick doesn't have it any better. His father doesn't give a crap about him. In fact, he even beats him constantly in this week's episode. Obviously, their entire relationship is strained, so I'm imagining this is going to boil up to this moment where both of them just decide, let's just murder the whole family, get the hell out of Dodge, and start our own business. This episode also has a massive build-up to this huge gang war which is getting ready to go down between the Corsicans and the Cristianos, and all these other groups are going to get involved. It's probably going to be one of the more major arcs of the series. I love how they're constantly building up by showing us all these mysterious characters we don't know anything about, just doing badass things, taking out fools left and right. But really, one of my favorite things about this week's episode is that they did follow up on that cliffhanger from last week where Dr. Theo was going to see Alex, and I thought something really bad was going to happen to him. I thought maybe he might even get killed. That's not the case whatsoever. I mean, Dr. Theo is kind of a badass. He actually pinned Nicholas to the ground in that one episode, but he did get a few scratches and bites because she's going crazy from all of this medication that she had, because she's seeing all these hallucinations of her old pimp boss, and she's sort of trying to suppress these hallucinations by going out and being a prostitute again. It's the scene where she runs into Warwick, which is honestly one of the most heavy-handed scenes that I've seen from this series, but boy, does it just hit you right in the feels. It's so depressing, but I really love how Warwick actually gets her out of her funk by literally headbutting her. It's pretty damn funny, and it sort of breaks the tension of that scene a little bit, and it also shows that they have been building something of a more friendly relationship with one another, but it's just so depressing that that's the reason that she's having these hallucinations, is because of these drugs that she was actually been given by her boss. This series definitely has like a big anti-drug message, and it's not being shoved down our throats or anything, but it's handled really well and in a real classy way and in a very realistic way, just like the rest of this series, which I honestly think is pretty damn good and just gets better with every episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gangsta? Hell freaking yes. Lots of information in this week's episode, little snippets of action, lots of backstory that's intercut between different scenes, but always relates to the scene that's going on in the present, and of course the big build-up to this massive gang war. This was a pretty awesome build-up episode right here, and we finally got to learn a little bit more about the characters, and it seems like every episode we're just going to get a little more information about the backstory of Warwick and Nicholas. I am fully convinced, however, that they are the ones who are actually going to be killing the entire Arcangelo family. I don't know if it's what Warwick exactly wanted, because in the backstory he was crying, but they seem to be on really good terms. They seem to be best friends, but there's still that whole thing with him having to make orders because he's a Twilight. He doesn't want to have to do that, so that's another interesting element of the series. There's also some other really cool elements in this week's episode, which are some hints to the character of Veronica. There's this one scene which is tied to Nicholas, I believe, where he's actually imagining seeing her. They clearly had some sort of romantic relationship, and then something went down which involved getting her arm cut off. I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it's that they were both overdosing on this Celebra or something, but it's a really interesting thing that they're doing with this character. I still am convinced that Veronica is that one female that we saw back at Big Mom's, the prostitute place. I'm pretty sure she's hanging out there, but Nicholas goes and sees her every once in a while, but still, that's just another element of this episode that just made it seem so freaking heavy-handed. We also got to learn some stuff about Doug this week. Apparently, he has a huge high tolerance to downers, and that's why Gina decided to put like 4 rounds right into him, so that's pretty freaking intense. Of course, Nina was there with Warwick, and they had some nice scenes together. I also really like the fact that Dr. Theo even followed up on that empty slip of paper, the one that he actually gave to Allie. I thought it was going to be something a little more symbolic than that, like she was sort of free from her original job, but there's actually a little bit more to it. She just sort of attaches her own hallucinations to it. It's pretty freaking strange, and just like the rest of this episode, I can only describe it as just being really freaking heavy and atmospheric, but it was a really great episode, just all across the board. It really engrossed me and sucked me in, so I'm going to give this week's episode a 5 out of 5. This is slowly becoming one of my favorite shows of the summer, and I think it's a really pleasant surprise. So if you want to see a show that's not only got some good action, but some great writing and some amazing characters, check out Gangsta. It's pretty freaking awesome. So I liked this episode a lot, but I want to hear from you guys. Did you watch this week's episode of Gangsta? Please tell me what you thought about it, if you liked it, if you didn't like it. What do you think really happened to the Arcangelo family? Do you believe that Nicholas is actually the killer? Please tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews. You guys should also check out our weekly podcast show. But remember, as always, the best way to support our channel is to watch the videos, comment on them, and to share them with your friends. So thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.